Friends, it was announced today, the beginning, August 25th. We are back. We are back. We now all have a key to the magic. The new Magic Key program that was just announced is similar to the old annual pass program, and where, if you sign up, you now have, once again, a way to get into the park on multiple visits without having to purchase a ticket. The program provides a reservation-based entry to one or to both of the Disneyland Resort theme parks. The prices start at $399 and work their way all the way up to $1,000 more at $1,399. That's your range that you're working with. And as all things in life, the more you pay, the more you get. But specifically, what this comes down to is you're paying for more reservations. At the top end, you get 6 reservations that you can hold at once. So essentially, you could book out all 6 visits that you want to go. Once you do your first visit, your next visit opens up, you can grab it, and you're back in the game. Or on the low end, you can do 2 reservations, making it a little bit difficult to kind of figure out all the dates that you want to go. And then there's the old, if your family really loves going on Christmas, do you book Christmas now and essentially for the next couple of months be down to 5 or 1, but it's very important for you to be there on your birthday or Christmas, so you block out dates far in advance, making it a little bit harder to juggle the week to week, day to day. And the other thing you're paying for is the lack of blackout dates. So many blackout dates. It's so cold. It's so dark. Now, what I'm not going to do in today's video is over-theorize on all these things that I don't know the answers to. I'm also not going to treat you like you're a dum-dum and read to you the page of the website that announces all of this like you can't read yourself. And also, you're hardcore. You're a Magic Key holder. That sounds weird. Of course, you've already read all the details. But in case you haven't, it breaks down into 4 different keys. This is the 4 different pass levels. As you can see, you have the prices next to me, the range. The more you pay, the more you get. The less you pay, the less you get. And that lower end one, let me just give you a heads up. Kiss Disneyland goodbye during summer 2022. And yes, to some people's shock, monthly payments still available for those of you trying to key on a budget. And if you have lots of questions, everybody kind of knows the same amount of information right now as one another. However, I am going to be doing a town hall tomorrow where we will look at some of the most popular questions that people have and theorize about what or what not to expect when everything happens in the next 3 weeks. But for right now, that webpage is all anyone knows. And if they tell you differently, well, make sure you get their source. But I have to say, this rollout is shockingly great. I mean, it's getting a fantastic fan reaction. It is way beyond my expectations. I had my expectations set very, very low. So I have to ask, why even bother to sunset the old annual pass program? Why go through the hassle of a rebrand if the new program is almost identical to the one that we had before the Thanos snap? So greetings, future Magic Key holders. Brickey here. I'm rebranding the channel. This is kind of tempting. Today's adventure, what's different? Why the change? Here are 5 major differences that I could spot between Magic Key and the old annual pass program. But first, I'm going to do a little timeline of how did we get to this moment. If you don't care and you just want to hear the 5 differences because you have no patience and you don't like context, go ahead. I've put a chapter in below and you can just skip right past this. But I do believe the context of why we got here is very, very important, because when I looked at today's rollout, I go, it's not that different. Why would Disneyland go through all the drama and potentially lose customers if they were going to do something nearly the same? Here is my timeline on how we got to this moment. When the pandemic closure had reached a year, remember, Disneyland sunset the program. They were in a real pickle. They had held onto everybody's money, but a year had passed, and essentially everyone in the program, their year had come and passed. Everybody had sort of expired, but they were holding the money and had no inventory to offer their customers. So they announced that they were sunsetting the annual pass program, which people like me caught on to. Sunsetting, this smells fishy. If it's going to sunset, then the sun will rise again. Well, we're at the sunrise. But then they also were very worried about losing their customers. And then the term legacy pass holder was created so that we would still feel special, and that birthed about 1,000 different memes from Disney's hardest of hardcore fans. And hey, look at me, I'm fancy, I'm a legacy pass holder, which really nobody knew what it meant other than you still got your discount. But, magnet sticker, you still had to walk from the tram. And then as Disney was really getting bad press on getting rid of suspected million annual customers, they started to do a lot of different media interviews. That's when I came up with the term of Kenny P. Rocks, the poet, as the Disneyland president started to give these press releases and do these interviews where if you read between the lines, he was trying to tell us something. Ken would go on in great detail to actually say, if you were to tell me that I would open the park tomorrow, our new pass program is not ready. But if you were to tell me I were to have a few months, I would like to think that we could reopen the park with an annual pass program ready to go. However, California, one day after saying, no, you can't do anything, just said, go do what you want. And Disneyland was given a reopening date, I would say, probably months before anybody expected. And then, as fans were shocked, they would be shocked again when Bobby Chapstick gave a very, very ambitious reopening date of the end of that month at the end of April 30th to be exact. Disneyland was even able to beat Knott's Berry Farms on their reopening. Disney was moving very, very aggressive. So therefore, Kenny P. Rock's idea of if we open quickly, the program won't be ready, that's when I knew that we were kind of in trouble, because my fear was, let them open the park with single day ticket sales, you may never see a pass program again. And I think Bobby Chapstick was thinking the same way that I was thinking, because if you remember, all of a sudden, once the park opened up, the language went to Bobby Chapstick saying to the shareholders, we want to offer you a more of a financial incentive when guests visit the park. Well, as a shareholder, I thank you for that. But as a regular visitor of Disneyland, how dare you, sir? And then we also would see JD talk about a rewards program. Bobby Chapstick would use the term rewards program, and they kept saying that it was coming by the end of the year, which to me, I did some videos and said, do not get overly excited. A rewards program means Costco. It means Starbucks. It does not mean an annual pass program. And I believe that they were on the path to do something a little bit more greedier, something that would make them a bit more money, and something that would give us a lot less access. But why are we here today? I think it's very important to look at Disneyland's ticket sales. On the first day that the tickets went out, by 5 or 6 o'clock, you could still buy a ticket for the grand reopening of Disneyland. They had not sold out their park after being closed for 440 days and at somewhere between 15 and 25% capacity. I saw that day as the biggest red flag that Disney was going to have a hard time doing all of this without their annual pass holders. That was when I saw a little crack of light of hope. But the ticket sales would remain soft. You could essentially kind of go whenever you want. Now, day of, not necessarily, but you could typically get in there within 10 days or 2 weeks. I mean, this is a major entertainment destination. And yeah, I know out-of-state people couldn't come into the park, and I know out-of-state people make up a huge portion of the population of Disneyland, but there are so many California locals that love the park, that flood the park, that have all of this history with it. And the fact that they couldn't sell out at under 35% capacity, it kept telling me that there was room for something to happen. We kept hearing them move back the date of which we would hear about an annual awards program. But as the ticket stayed soft, so did the announcement of Oogie Boogie's Halloween Bash, right? I mean, there are still dates available for that. All of the hardcore dates like opening day and around Halloween, those dates stayed available for days, even though the hardest of the hardcore flocked over to the website, dealt with the queue-it system, which, by the way, get ready to do that in 3 weeks when these keys go on sale. Even though the hardcore were in, there just wasn't enough people to fill the park, which then we moved forward to the 3-day ticket that came out of nowhere. Suddenly, you could get a 3-day value ticket that would allow you to go to Disneyland for 3 days at a price about 60% of a regular ticket cost. I did a video on this saying that this seemed like Disneyland was in trouble, but now knowing the data that we have today, I see this as a thought balloon. Disney said, right now, this is how our park is selling with just single day admission or bundled admission tickets. Everybody in there is on a ticket, no passes. But they introduced this 3-day ticket, which sold really, really well. And if you've been at the park since the 3-day tickets have gone on sale, you'll notice the park is busier than ever. It feels like 2019 all over again. Therefore, when this announcement came out, it all became crystal clear to me. The 3-day ticket was a test. Could Disneyland 2021 carry the load of the audience that it had back in 2019? Obviously, it did work. Obviously, the 3-day value ticket did the job of backfilling all of the guests that they weren't getting in at the regular price that they were charging. Therefore, I believe that this greenlit the moment of we need to go into fall. We need to go into these different business quarters. We need to hit a certain benchmark. We can't play around. We can't go with the bigger, greedier, less rewarding to the customer program that we wanted. It's time to switch back to what we have because we've realized that we need our annual pass holders. We need our value customers to fill out our quotas, to fill out our park, to keep Disneyland buzzing. And trust me, friend, if the single-day ticket sales would have been strong, they would have went with whatever play that they had up their sleeve. Because everything that they were saying once the park got ready to reopen was completely different than what we got. And this does feel very expedited compared to what the number 1 and number 2 leader of the corporation, as far as Disney parks go, the messaging that they were sending out to the customers. And because today we see the rollout of a program that looks strikingly similar to what we had in 2019, it made me go, why? Other than the pandemic, and I understand the pause-demic happened and Thanos snapped, I lived it too, but why go through the effort of the rebooting, the rebranding, the renaming, the confusion? Why go through all of this to end up someplace that is shockingly similar to where you left off? Which inspired me today to comb through everything on the press release, everything in the customer terms of conditions, and look around to find whatever major differences I could find. And I came up with 5 major differences. Now, on these differences, I don't know everything because, like I said at the top of the video, we all have the same data right now. But these are 5 things to keep your eyes on in 3 weeks when the tickets go on sale and we get the entire information on what it is we're expected to purchase. So for those of you that didn't want the backstory, welcome back to the video. Change number 1, reservations. Okay, reservations, I know I'm not shocking you with this first one, but reservations are the big upfront change. And if I ran Disneyland, if I was in charge of the park, I'm telling you right now, I would never, ever let reservations go away. Reservations give them such a huge advantage as far as staffing, ordering, promoting the park. It also allows them to sell more annual passes because essentially they're taking the month, they're breaking it up into lots of different reservations. They're only allowing you to go 2 or 6 times within your window of opportunity. So essentially, it's almost as if they're taking the park and they're able to timeshare it and essentially sell the same days, the same park, the same month, several different ways to several different customers. So the reservation is here to stay. And I think it's really genius as far as the business end of things goes. If I was in charge, I would never let it go away. That being said, before you buy your pass in 3 weeks or your key, going to be a while getting used to that. Before you buy your key, make sure you really study the reservation system. Make sure you understand which reservation is going to fit your lifestyle and also do the old fashioned. Pull out a calculator. How many times do you have to go in a year to profit off of what you're paying for? We ran the numbers earlier with my wife. You know, if she's going to go more than 6 times a year, then it's worth getting her a key. But if she's only going to go every now and again, then it's better for us to stay over on single day tickets and allow her to pick the dates that she would rather go versus so many blackouts. It's so cold and dark in here. But I say this to you. Study those reservations. That's the part of this that is going to affect you the most. That's the biggest difference. However, this reservation system is really nothing different than what we've been doing with buying our tickets. This could have easily been implemented to an annual pass program. I don't see this move alone being enough to warrant a complete teardown and rebuild of a very successful program. I mean, it's familiar. You know how to do this. If you've been to the park already, you've got this. Just make sure the reservations fit your lifestyle. Now, the second biggest change is a health change. Disney obviously learned a lot over the closure of 400 days, learned a lot about being in business with the state of California, and we all learned a lot about viruses that can really affect your life and, take your life or make you lose some friends and family members that you don't see eye to eye with anymore. Nonetheless, here are some differences that I saw that are inside of the contracts that all relate around public health and future closures or future pivots by the Disney Corporation. Park reservations are limited and subject to available public health orders. So they already have inside of this, hey, if we have to change things due to what we're told to do by the state, then we have the right to shift around capacity or the amount of dates that you're able to come into the park. Essentially, this in the new legal iTunes terms of agreement gives them the ability to react to whatever they might have to do to keep operating on the good side of California. Theme park capacity may be limited from time to time due to various reasons, including, but not limited to, acts of God, governmental direction, or guidance from health experts. Once again, if Disney has to go into limited capacity due to COVID-22 or whatever's around the corner, this would give them the availability to reschedule or reshift the way that blackout dates look for your reservations. Lower tickets might see more days blacked out. It might be harder to get them. This just gives them the flexibility to say, okay, we were buzzing at like 85 to 100%, however many tickets we could sell. That's what we're doing. We had to go down to 40%. This gives them the right to change around your availability of reservations to get inside of the park. You might still have your 6 reservations, but it'll be harder to get the dates that you want because the supply may become scarce. Some pass benefits and features may not be available during periods of limited capacity. And this goes back to this shift. If they have to move the capacity down, some things just won't be available. We've all gotten used to seeing, parades going away or meet and greets where you can meet the characters. This just once again gives them that flexibility that if we have to change the rules, we're allowed to. And you bought something that said you agree. Government or other authority guidance or order, pandemic related restrictions. It's right in there. It's right in there that if the next wave happens, they are able to pivot better. And maybe this is one of the reasons of the reboot of the program, because maybe the other pass didn't really take in consideration pandemics, because we had been on a pretty good stretch of good times and fun. This does give them the availability, though, to switch with everything that we have seen happen to our lives in the last 18 months and whatever may be coming. No refunds or credit given for any such changes or cancellations. Now, I wouldn't get all huffy puffy about this. Disney is a pretty honest corporation as far as making sure that you get what you paid for. They did a very good job on getting everybody their refunds back on their annual passes. I just believe this is in there to cover their butts in case something crazy happens. So I wouldn't worry about this too much, but it is worthy of noting that all of this is in their customer agreement that you're going to assign, which really gives them a lot more flexibility for whatever unknown thing that could come at us all. And then here's the big one. Disney reserves the right to cancel, suspend, or revoke any pass or deny theme park admission to any pass holder at any time for any reason. Disney reserves the right to require a pass holder to leave Disneyland Resort premises if they are, and this is important, not properly complying with any health, safety, or other requirements to the Disneyland Resort. Meaning, if you watch yesterday's video and they have to install some sort of vaccination requirement to go inside of the park, this could say, if you don't get vaccinated, you are terminating your agreement with your key. This literally is in there to say, if you're not up to our health standards, if you're not willing to wear a mask, get vaccinated, do whatever the new rule may be, stand on your head if that's what the new world looks like, you have to go by the health code or you got to go home. Watch yesterday's video if you want to see how I suggest that the vaccination requirement of all employees could end up going over to all guests at the park if that's the way they have to do things to keep the park open, because they are not going to close the park again. And the announcement of the Magic Key program shows you they are moving full steam ahead. And this contract shows that they are trying to bend the rules. They're trying to figure out a way that no matter what comes at them, they can keep going and keep moving forward. The state of California strongly recommends that all guests be fully vaccinated or obtain a negative COVID-19 test prior to entering the Disneyland Resort. This right now is all based on goodwill and on the honor system. But as I have people in my comments of yesterday's video showing they've been to Disneyland, they are not vaccinated and they did not wear a mask, therefore they did not obey the honor system. The honor system lasted about 45 days and then it started to collapse out here. So this statement right here is still on the idea of this is what you should be doing. But if it comes down to closing the park, you could see this language change and this is what you got to do. And all the other language behind this gives them the benefit to change the rules as they need to keep their park open and to keep it safe. Change number 3 is kind of a question for you, something that I want to figure out more about when the tickets go on sale. Are there going to be different types of reservations that we make? I mean, I saw a couple of things that are pretty vague, and if I know working with lawyers, they're vague on purpose. But I saw a couple of things that made me wonder, are all reservations equal, or is there going to be like a DVC club type thing where different reservations take up extra amount of credits or points? Because there's some language in here that is something that we should definitely keep an eye on. Park reservation will vary by pass type and theme park. Park reservation will vary by pass type and theme park. So all reservations are not the same? All reservations could be different? Or are you buying a certain kind of add-on that gets you into both parks? Something to look out for. It's just worded enough to make my spidey senses go off. And now that I'm an Avengers campus recruit, my spidey senses are stronger than ever. Additionally, park reservations may not be available on select holidays for certain theme parks. If I understand I have blackout dates, so be it. I can't get there on Christmas because I bought a lower pass that was within my budget. I can't get there on Christmas. But are they saying that if everybody buys Christmas, then all of a sudden it will go to a blackout? I mean, that would be something that you would understand, that you won't always be able to get every date, even though it was originally available to your pass. But park reservations may not be available for select holidays? Why would they put that in there for certain theme parks? It's really making me wonder, are all reservations created equally? Which gets to the number 4 thing that I noticed, that there was enough language spread all throughout the 3 different documents that were made available to us. What is the future of park hopping? And is California Adventure going to be weighted at the same value of Disneyland? Because at the very beginning of this video, there's language that struck me different. The new Magic Key program provides reservation-based admission to one or both Disneyland theme parks. To one or to both Disneyland theme parks. The annual pass got you into both, not one or the other. Let's look at all the details that I could find about park hopping, because this too is where I'm seeing a major difference. Magic Key holders who have a park reservation for both theme parks may cross over and switch between parks on the same day beginning at 1 p.m. Who have a park reservation for both theme parks. Now, it could be that maybe so many people are in Disneyland that theme park hopping's just not available on the day that I want to go. So I was only able to get just a DCA reservation. That's very practical, and that's what we could be talking about. But the way that it's written, theme park reservation for both parks. So maybe, if going back to our Christmas example, if you book Christmas early, you're in Christmas on a hopper, but as one park fills up, you would only be able to get a reservation for the other park. Let's hope that that's the way that it is, and there's not an added value for doing a theme park hop. Or does a hop consist of 2 of your reservations? Please check the park hours calendar and the Disneyland app for the most up-to-date park hopper hours, as they could start earlier or at a later date, depending on the day and park. Day and park. So Disneyland could potentially have a different hop time than DCA. I don't know. There's definitely something interesting going on here when it comes to park hopping. please check the hours. I mean, I understand that, hey, maybe 1 o'clock is flooding one park, or, maybe during the winter when we close earlier, we're going to shift it down, or maybe due to some health restrictions, we got to kind of change the rules a little bit. But there's still enough there for me to think that maybe park hopping isn't going to be the way that we knew it was. Magic Key holders who have a park reservation for both parks must enter the first park as designated in their park reservation prior to visiting the other park. At this time, a park reservation is not required after visiting the first park. So they're saying, at this time, you just got to start in your home park, and then after a certain time, you can switch. You don't need a second reservation at this time. But they're definitely leaving it open to interpretation that may be a thing. However, reservation requirements are subject to change. Please note that the ability to visit the other park will be subject to the park's capacity limitations. So I could see this two ways. I could see there being some sort of weighted or extra value that is applied to park hopping, but I could also see it that if one park fills up, obviously you can't hop into a full park. And now that I think about it, if every reservation was seemingly considered to be one person in two places, they're missing out on a lot of revenue and a lot of people coming out to the park. So therefore, really keep an eye in 3 weeks about what the future of park hopping is, because I'm predicting it's going to be different than how we knew it. And then the final sort of thing is this here, and this is a little sly one, but if you're like me and you've done lots of business and you've had to look through tons of lawyer written up contracts, you get these little subtleties. Other restrictions such as park hopper rules apply, and park hopper is registered there, which would mean that it's branded as its own thing. So it could just be like, hey, this is our terminology, we want to keep it inside the family. Or it could be that park hopper is a add-on that you have to add to your app, a way for them to essentially double sell the park, go back to that time sharing I mentioned at the top of the video, a way for them to make a little bit more profit, and you'll be spending more to go to both. And then the final one, I've seen this in the language, and I don't think this is a crazy major difference, but I also think it's something to pay attention to, but also not something to freak out about, which is why I made it the very last one, because who knows who made it this far. And if you did, thank you. Pass type availability. Pass types are limited in quantity, and not all pass types may be available at any given time. So essentially this is saying, hey, we're not going to always have all 4 passes available always. Like, there is a cap to how many of these we will sell, which makes sense with the new enforced reservation system. You can't sell so many passes that then nobody can ever get a reservation, because you're going to get a lot of unhappy customers and the whole thing will sort of fall and collapse. So I wouldn't worry about this. And I would say that the one that would probably sell out the fastest would be the smaller one. And if I remember back in the old day, the lower pass would sometimes get paused, or the Southern California Select would kind of come and go. So I wouldn't totally freak out about this, but if you really miss your annual pass, don't drag your heels. Go over, battle it with Queue It, but don't at the same time break your neck. We have not seen a day yet, whether it's Oogie Boogie, Touch of Disney, or the reopening of Disneyland, where the most desirable dates blow out in one single day. And by the way, they're probably going to sell way more passes than they would ever sell tickets, because it's not like they're trying to sell tickets for one date in the park, which is limited to what I believe to be somewhere in the ballpark of 80,000 guests. They're trying to sell lots of passes for people to enjoy the park at all various different days. The reservation system keeps them from everybody showing up at the same time. So don't overly panic, but also don't drag your heels. Just something to keep in mind, that this makes sense with the new math, but don't lose your mind over it while you're keeping it in mind. In just 3 weeks, when the new Magic Key goes on sale, so many of these questions and many more will be answered. But if you want to hang out and talk about your questions and theorize what different things could mean, or sort of brainstorm what the future could be, because it's just fun to be a fan of Disneyland, well, I'll be doing a town hall tomorrow where I'm taking all of your questions, so you can see me at a live stream that will be kicking off at 5 p.m. Disneyland time. That's DLT, as I like to call it. And you can show up for 90 minutes. I'll take all of your questions and we'll kind of pour over some of the things that you're worried about, and try to look at it with a reasonable, sensible, practical, common sense approach. That's what I do. But I have to say, I am really, really shocked at how similar this program is to what we had. All of the things that I was seeing from the corporation didn't make me think it was going to go this way, which makes today a very, very happy day, even if there are some things that are different, even if park hopping costs a little bit more. I mean, to be this close to where we once were feels like a really, really great win after everything that we all went through. Which is kind of the reason why I had to rip it apart to find these 5 major differences and to show you something maybe that you didn't see, because I know you're bright. I know you've already read the press release. I know you've already looked. You're already planning what fits into your budget. But I want to kind of break down these things that could end up being something that could be some significant changes for all of us. So let me know in the comments below. Did you find something that I didn't find? You think I'm making mountains out of molehills? Or did I find something you're like, oh, I didn't see that one there? I now understand, Brickey, why they went through the hassle of the rebranding and the sunsetting and the hard rebooting. Who knows? Disneyland is famous for making a lot of magic and making a lot of things more complicated than they need to be. So friends, until I see you tomorrow at our live town hall kicking off at 5 p.m. DLT, asking all the questions you want and theorizing together, hopefully soon I'll see you back inside the park where you can show me your shiny new Disneyland key to the kingdom. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I sincerely appreciate it. And today's video and all videos are made possible by my friends over at club1313.com. If you want to be a part of a very, very fun and active Disneyland community, join us today at club1313.com. So you'll always have a place to go when all you want to do is talk about Disneyland and see no one roll their eyes at you. This is a big day, happy day. And we needed some good news, and it came.